Sorry, it's yet another Zoom meeting, as practically all of you will be living on Zoom or Teams most of the time, but you will understand why we're having to do it this way. I just first of all want to introduce our board members. I always do this, so as you get called up, do give a wave, and I want to just sort of say hello to you all. So first of all, Jane Scott, who's our one of the nominations from the Competition and Markets Authority, who chairs our Audit and Risk Committee. Matt, of course, you know, our Chief Executive. Matt, you know, who's just been speaking, our Chief Executive. Professor Sir Cyril Chandler.
Hello.
Hello. Don Grocott.
Hello.
David Hare.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Michael Hutchins, who's another, and David is our hospitals, our provider side nominee. Michael Hutchins, who's a nominee from the Competition and Markets Authority.
Hello,
Michael.
everyone.
Gerard Panting, who is a nomination from the professions, about to step down, more of that later, and chair of our Remuneration Committee. And
apologies from Gerard, sorry.
Oh, right. Okay, sorry about that. And Professor Sir Norman Williams.
Hi, everybody.
Okay, good to hear you're all there. Well, it's now time at 13:32 that we turn to the formal business of this annual general meeting. I can confirm that the quorum required by our company's Articles of Association is present, in fact, more than present. And but we do have one or two apologies from the Guy Pilkington Memorial Home Limited, from Horder Healthcare, and also from the Federation of Surgical Specialties and Associations. Those are our apologies. Just some housekeeping. First of all, please keep your microphones on mute unless you have something you want to say or to ask a question. And we also will be recording this AGM for purposes of minutes, etc. Does anyone have any objections to that? No, good. So formally to welcome you to this general meeting of the Private Healthcare Information Network. A notice to convene the meeting has been sent to you as required 30 days before the general meeting. With your permission, I'll take the notice as read. Good. Okay, before we sort of get into the resolutions, I, as usual, would like to make some introductory remarks. By any comparison, this has been an extraordinary year. I'm sure most AGMs this year will be opened with that sort of comment. The coronavirus has impacted almost every walk of life, of course, including healthcare. As an NHS returner myself, I was assigned eventually to NHS England's Behaviour Change Unit, where I heard just how bad things were in the NHS in March and April, and how much appreciated was the private sector's step up to the plate. As it was in 2000, when we first offered our services during the winter beds crisis that year, a move that eventually led to the Concordat. I hope that there'll now be wider appreciation of the work and quality of care we provide across the healthcare system, and I think there are perhaps some early signs of that. Despite the pandemic disruption, progress has continued across the sector in collecting and submitting data to PHIN to turn into information, both to help healthcare consumers make better informed choices and to help monitor safety and patient feedback to enable continuous improvement. The public are the end customers for all our formal stakeholders, hospitals, insurers, consultants, and of course PHIN itself. 6 years after the CMA published its order, we jointly need to move faster to achieve our ambition of providing a comprehensive, high-quality information platform for the public, which adds real value to patients and, of course, our stakeholders. To that end, we intend to increase our focus on both healthcare consumers as potential patients and on patients themselves to ensure that the service we provide fits their needs and encourages greater awareness of the quality of care that the sector generally provides. A really important point, I think. Matt will tell you about the results of our recent consultation and the headlines of our strategic plan shortly. A key priority will be accelerated delivery of the CMA order, and an integral part of that delivery has to be delivering and promoting a great information service which consumers know about and will use. As one of our respondents said, it will only be meaningful and add value to the sector if patients use it. Frankly, there is still a huge task ahead for all of us, and over the coming months, we will work with our stakeholders to encourage further investment in this project because we believe that the payback could be huge. Finally, I wish to thank Matt and his team for their continued commitment, hard work, and maintenance of great team spirit, despite all working at home over this particularly difficult period. I also want to thank the board for their positive involvement and support for myself, the whole team, and our work generally. Particular thanks go to Natalie Jane MacDonald, who stepped down to take up the chair of Nuffield Health, and Gerald Panting, who is leaving medical life at the end of the year to enjoy his retirement. Their service, constructive input, and fellowship will be greatly missed. Their replacements are in the process of being nominated by the insurers and the medical profession respectively. And we are currently undergoing an open recruitment for an independent non-executive director with strong practical consumer experience. That's what I wanted to say. Now, if we can put up the agenda slide, and we'll go into what the agenda is going to look like. So initially, the annual general meeting section. I'm actually going to take resolution 1 first, that's the minutes, and then go to the overview of reporting accounts and the second resolution. And then after the resolutions, we will have a strategic update from our Chief Executive, Matt James, who will talk to us then. So if we can go firstly straight to resolution 1. It's an ordinary resolution to approve the minutes of the annual general meeting held on the 12th of December 2019. In terms of votes, we are going to count positive votes, but it may be quite difficult. So I will also go pretty quickly to votes against in the hope that that will be an easier count. So I now propose that resolution, and the notice about the minutes is passed as an ordinary resolution. All those in favour? I don't know if we can see people with the. Thank you. The team are counting because they have a better vision of the people out there than I do. Are you there, team? Mona?
Yes, just counting.
Oh,
sorry. We have 12, I believe, of the 16 voting members attending today.
Okay, and how many votes in favour?
12.
Oh, 12. I'm just going to check, is there anyone voting against? No, as expected. Okay, thank you very much. That resolution is passed. We'll now move on to the second section about resolution 2. And I want to first of all introduce Jack Griffin, who is going to give a quick update on those accounts before we move to the actual resolution. Over to you, Jack.
Thank you and good afternoon. So just to run through the audited financial statements for the year ending 31st of July 2020, the detailed financial statements were sent out to members in advance of the AGM. So overall, we achieved a small surplus of 42k. This was a reduction on the prior year, but was an improvement on the small deficit we had budgeted at the start of the year. This surplus was largely driven down by the savings essentially during the lockdown period and working from home since March. Our headcount across the years has remained largely unchanged, although there was some fluctuation within the year. And for the second year running, we have held our subscription fees to just a small inflationary uplift. Just moving on to the balance sheet. So based on that retained surplus, we have increased our overall reserves to just under 1.5 million. This represents 5.4 months operating expense cover against a policy of 6 months. Any questions on the accounts?
Any questions?
Yeah, Andrew, it's Andy Jones from Ramsey Healthcare. Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course, Andy, over to you.
So the director's remuneration as a percentage of revenue is significant. I didn't have time to do the maths. It's somewhere between 7 and 10%. But is that in line with what regulatory bodies would normally see?
I don't know who wants.
I can take that.
So, yeah.
Andy, thanks. Yeah, Viv was kind enough to send us that question in advance. I mean, you'll remember, of course, that the structure of our governance is largely controlled by our mandate. So the proportion of our overall turnover represented by the directors has actually been steadily falling. Because when we first configured in 2015 and we're a very small organisation, we nonetheless had to carry approximately the same headcount with approximately the same remuneration that we have 8 years on. So it's actually been slightly down, the total figure for the past year or so, because we've been one independent non-executive director short now for 2 years, and we've held off making that appointment largely because we didn't want to incur substantial recruitment fees, although we've now decided we do need to move ahead with that. And more recently, we've been one director short since Natalie Jane stepped down, as Andrew mentioned. But aside from that, the remuneration is, of course, controlled by the Remuneration Committee, which Gerard Panting is currently chair. Historically, that was chaired by Fiona Booth in the IHO days to make sure that hospitals had full visibility and control over it, or full visibility in some ways of remuneration, or at least confidence in the process. And we may well find an arrangement like that again in the future. Does that answer your question?
Can I just add, Matt, that that figure, of course, does include our chief executive's salary, and for my part, I feel that we get really good value for that component. Just to come in behind that.
Yes, Andrew, Jane Scott here, chair of the audit committee. I just wonder if it might be helpful in terms of a follow-up to make sure that we circulate a breakdown of that figure, because I think that figure is possibly quite misleading. So I just wonder if it might be worthwhile suggesting that as a follow-up, we could actually send out to members on the basis of full transparency that we always aspire to, just exactly what's included in that figure. Because of course, as Matt said, the director's fees have not changed at all over recent years.
Thank you, Jane. Yes, I'm sure we can do that. Okay. Any other?
I'm very happy to provide further detail, Andy, if you want to pick that up offline.
Yeah.
Sorry, Andrew, Jo Jenner here from Spencer.
Yep.
I remember, and time merges, so it might have been 2 AGMs ago, but we had quite a detailed discussion about pay rises and percentages. The thing here that strikes me as quite large is, well, staff costs haven't increased significantly. Contract staff have. Can you just expand on that a little, maybe?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that comes down to one role within our technology team for a database architect, which isn't a cheap role and is obviously an important one for PHIN, given the nature of our work. Now, going forward, we have managed to recruit that role to a substantive position, so there is a saving on that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much indeed, Jack. Can we now move then to resolution 2? Again, an ordinary resolution to receive the company's annual accounts and reports of directors thereon for the year ended 31st of July 2020. I now propose that that resolution is proposed as an ordinary resolution. All those in favour, please. Can we have the slide down again, please? Thank you.
I have 9 hands showing as in favour.
Okay, so are there any votes against?
Jenny, are you voting against? All right, no. Kathy?
Yeah. No, no votes against, and
no, everyone's taken their hands down. No votes against.
And abstentions?
None.
Okay, thank you very much. That again is passed unanimously. Moving on then to resolution 3, which relates really to our work widely supported across the sector with the pilot phase of the ADAPT programme, the Acute Data Alignment Project. I'll read it out. It's an ordinary resolution to limited sharing of PHIN's database with NHS Digital in accordance with Article 24.3 of the CMA's Private Healthcare Market Investigation Order 2014, as amended in 2017, further to the stated object, scope and lawful basis of the pilot phase of the Acute Data Alignment Project, ADAPT, and subject to all necessary steps to ensure proper compliance with the Data Protection Act and the common law duty of confidentiality. The information, just quoting the Article 24.3, the information organisation may, with the agreement of its members, grant licensed access, which is in accordance with the Data Protection Act 1998, to its database. As I say, this is entirely to support the ADAPT project. I now ask if there's any questions on that.
Just a question from me, if I may. It's Doug Wright here from Aviva.
Hi, Doug.
Okay. Okay, Doug, over you go.
Obviously, the Act 1998 is no longer in existence. How do you manage this resolution with that fact?
We've asked that question to the CMA previously, and apparently there is some legal mechanism, though I forget its precise nature, whereby any legislation referred to that has been clearly superseded by more recent legislation is just deemed to have been, you can just read one in for the other, hence why we referred above to 2018.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
I should just, I mean, people will remember that we've been through a substantive public consultation around the Acute Data Alignment Programme, and many of you will remember Richard Steele, you can see there in the conversation with us, presented the initial conclusions from that consultation, which were overwhelmingly positive at our July meeting, when we signalled that we would come back and ask you for this formality. Subsequently, we have, of course, done PHIN's consultation on its strategy, and again, there was overwhelming support for the principle of ADAPT. So I'm hoping that everybody understands and expects this resolution to be.
Yeah. So, any further questions? No. Okay, thank you very much indeed. I will now propose that resolution 3 in the notice is passed as an ordinary resolution. All those in favour, can we have the slides down, please?
Two, 6. I have 10, 11.
Okay. Anybody opposed? Hands up if you are opposed.
Emily, are you still holding your hand up for opposing the resolution? No. Yeah?
Pretty sure Emily's hand was up previously.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Unless there's an objection, unless Emily says something, then I'll take that as no votes against the resolution.
I'm not objecting. I'm okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And just in case
Just
any
put it-
abstentions, are there any abstentions?
None.
No. Okay, thank you very much. That resolution I declare carried. We have no other notified other business. So we have received none. So I now declare the AGM, the formal part of the AGM, closed at 13:50. And now I ask Matt to give us his presentation on the strategy review, the consultation, which I think you'll find quite interesting.